where was your first snooker place?
First snooker place that I ever played a game of snooker in was Cwmfelin Miners Institute.
Okay, nice.
Which was a long time ago. And then obviously after that was the Red Triangle Snooker Club, which we are currently in now.
What have been some of your favourite snooker venues?
Obviously, I'm going to say the Crucible, because it's the World Championship. Wasn't necessarily my favourite venue, but I would always put that at the front because it was for the World Championship. My favourite venue of all time was Goffs, the Irish Benson Hedges Masters. And okay, people are going to say, well, you're saying that because you won it. But I played there 3 times, and yes, I did win it the once, and I lost in the final on the final black the year after to Stephen Hendry, which still hurts me now, all these years after that I had a shot to win it, and I missed it, and obviously he cleared up all the yellow to black to pinch it on the black. But the atmosphere at Goffs with the Irish people was second to none. It was just an unbelievable arena. You probably know they wouldn't be allowed now for health and safety reasons, because they used to sell all the horses in this. It's like a show ring. They sell the horses out. And then, so you had the seating going up, a bit like the Crucible, but this was round. The Crucible is more square. And then you had another tier then, so where they got balconies at the Crucible, this one, you just had a round circle tier. Right. And they used to stand up there, 3 or 4 thick. And it'd be packed, jammed to the rafters. Probably wouldn't get away with that now for health and safety reasons, but that was probably my most favourite venue.
Well, I was going to ask for you for the best atmosphere as well, but I think you've already answered that question. So that's got to be Goffs as well then, yeah?
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, look, I was lucky enough at the Crucible to play in a one-table setup, and I played Jimmy White, which you couldn't have asked to play anybody probably any bigger than that at that time.
Like playing Ronnie nowadays, I guess.
Yeah, Ronnie or Stephen Hendry. And of course I played Ronnie, I think 3 times there, and I played Stephen Hendry, must have been 5 or 6 times there. So I actually got to play Jimmy twice there, but obviously the once was in the semi-final, and as much as it was a fantastic atmosphere, I didn't particularly play that great in that semi-final. The table didn't really play the first couple of sessions very good, and it was so different going from the 2-table to the 1-table setup. If I could rewind and do it all over again, I'd have probably gone in the night before and just sat in the seat I was going to, and just walked to the table and walked back, because Jimmy White was still a really fast player then. And I was getting up playing my shot, and by the time I got back to my seat, he'd already played his shot, and it was time for me. I didn't know whether I was coming or going, and it just completely got me out of my rhythm and caught me off guard.
We're going to talk about some of your Crucible finest moments. So talk me through this picture behind us, because we've got Ronnie coming out there, haven't we?
Yeah, well, obviously Rob Walker there has done the announcing, and Ronnie's coming out in defence of the title he won the previous year, as they always do. I think this picture was taken on the first Saturday of the new championship, the year after he won it, and they always have defending champion comes out. And obviously I've walked down them steps many times, and it's an unbelievable venue to play in. Yeah,
now the reason I mention that is because obviously everyone remembers Ronnie's 5-minute 147 against Mick Price, wasn't it? But not many people know what happened in the next round, and he faced a certain Darren Morgan, am I right?
That is absolutely correct. It was a long time ago now, but I played him, and we played the year before, and I was 4-1 down to him, and I went 8-4 up, and I landed up losing 13-8. So obviously when I had him this time, it was like I had a bit of a revenge to try and score, but you know, he's one of the best players in the world then, if not the best then, and even though he hadn't won the world. And after first session I was 5-3 up, and all going to plan, and then I had a bit of a stinker in the second session, and I went 9-7 behind, and then we went into the third, and I just said, you know, don't crumble like you did the year before, because the year before it was a total collapse by me. I finished the second session 8-all the year before, and it was like I'd lost a match. And everybody was trying to rally around me in the night to say, look, you're still in this match, it's 8 each. But for me, from 4-1 to 8-4 up to 8, it was like I'd lost. So, and I didn't win another frame. So all I had at 9-7 down, going to the next one, you know, pinch the first couple, or you got to stay on his coattails, and you might get him at it towards the end. And I had an unbelievable session of snooker. I went from 9-7 down to 12-10 up.
Yeah.
So, you know, to beat him 5-1 there, and all of a sudden the pressure come back on, and he played two brilliant frames against me to go 12 all. And I thought, here we go, it's going to happen again. And lucky for me, I think it was him who broke off. He left me a long red. It was a dodgy one that I had to go for. I knew if I missed it, I was leaving everything on. I went for it. Thankfully for me, it went in, and I had an 80 break in the final frame to pinch it off him.
Unbelievable. I mean, to beat Ronnie on any occasion, but to beat him when he's at his peak of his powers, because he obviously was after that 147, must have been immensely satisfying.
Oh, look, you could see in the crowd, you know, there's a lot of oohing and ahhing as I was, because obviously, you know, Ronnie was their favourite then, and he's still their favourite now. And to get a win over him at the Crucible is something not very many people that have done, and it is a special experience, you know. You know, great memories. Obviously, I'd have liked to have kicked on from that, and unfortunately for me, as it always does, I had Hendry in the next round, and as Stephen Hendry always used to do it to me at the World, bar for the 1 year, he in the 90s, he was just unbelievable to play there, you know, so there was no disgrace in that. But I think Stephen beat me in about 4 quarterfinals there. The closest I got, I lost him 13-11 in the quarterfinal 1 year. Maybe that was my opportunity. Besides the one with Jimmy, you know, in the semis when I made the semis. Look, it wasn't to be for me. Between Ronnie and Stephen, they've been total banes, really. So it was nice. It was nice to get a win back over him, and obviously at the iconic Crucible. Ronnie, that's going to be a memorable one. And the other one would be Steve Davis in the final of the Irish Benson Hedges Masters, because it went all the way 9-8, and he was still a formidable force then. So they would probably be the two, you know. And like I said, the other one would be Ronnie. So I've beaten Ronnie at the Crucible. There's not many people get to say they've turned him over at the Crucible, and I get to say I was one of them.
Yeah. Would that also be your best moment in snooker?
Probably not. Probably winning the Welsh Professional maybe is the first time. Obviously, winning the World Amateurs is different. I was to win the Welsh Amateur Championship, be champion in your country was something else. Then to go to the World Amateur and win that, so you knew he was going to be a professional, that was something. And then to win the Welsh Professional, and I beat Doug Mountjoy in the final the first year I won it, and he had just come off back-to-back. He'd won the UK when they all said he'd never win again, and he was 40-something, and he won the UK, and then he won I think it was the Mercantile Credit. So he was going for 3 in a row, and I managed to turn him over in the final, and then obviously my mother and father were still alive, and they saw me win the Welsh Professional, you know.
Nice.
My dad was down there, my mother watched it obviously on the TV, and that, you know, they are memories that will never be taken away from me.
Even stuff like saying Mercantile Credit, though, that takes you back, doesn't it? Those like old-fashioned names to tournaments.
Well, look, what frightens me with it all is when they go on about it, like, you know, John Spencer and Ray Reid and Cliff Thorburn and people like this, and you know, Fred Davis. Even I played him. I played him in. It was either the British Open or something. I played him at Blackpool at the no break, and I can still see it now. I was thinking I was 2-0 down to him. And all I kept sitting thinking in my chair, oh my God, live. When I make this phone call to my father and say, Dad, I've just lost to Fred Davis. He was 70-something, I think, then, his age. Or late 60s, early. And I thought, how am I going to tell him I've just lost, you know, when I'm supposed to be the new kid on the block and everything. Thankfully, I think he ran out of steam, or he took pity on me, and I managed to get the win over him. And then you look at the other side of the coin, you know, the Judd Trumps, the Ding Junhuis and all of that. I've then played all of them. And obviously in between then, my era, Jimmy White, Steve Davis, Stephen Hendry, Parrott, all of them, they were all part of it. So it's quite funny. You forget really how old you are or how long you've been about when you think back of the players you've played.
What about your worst moment in snooker as well?
Oh, that's easy because we've already touched on that a little bit. I had just lost my mother in November, and obviously absolutely devastated because she was a big part of my life, you know, same as anybody's mother. And then my father started coming around with me again because he looked after my mother for the 10 years she suffered with cancer and everything. And you know, I'd won the Irish the year before, but he wasn't there. He was there looking after my mother, and then the year after he came with me to Ireland to Goffs, and I made the final. I beat Peter Ebden and I beat John Parrott, and then I had Stephen Hendry in the final, which was a bit of a nemesis of mine, really. And it was all 8-all, and I had a 50-odd in the final frame. It looked like I was going to retain my title, and I thought, in a minute, Dad, I'll be saying this is for you, and for the crappy 6 months we've had since Mum's gone, I'm going to hold the cup up and say, this is for you, Mum, and this is for you, Dad. And then suddenly, you know, he pinched it off me on the black, and it's something, even though I laughed earlier on, I still say, but I still think about it now. Yeah. And that was 1997, so are we talking 28 years ago? Yeah, and I still, and if the video came on now, I would still struggle to watch it because I had a pink with the rest going down for the yellow, and I twitched, I suppose that's the right word to say. I missed it. Whether I twitched or not is that long ago now. Yeah. But I whatever way you look at it, I missed it, and it cost me it. You know, and it's something I've never really forgotten about. It's still there in the memory bank, because a month later I went to the Crucible, and obviously I made the quarterfinal in the Crucible, and I had Stephen Hendry, and then he beat me 13-11 in the quarterfinal. 2 days later my father passed away. So he was never then going to experience me being in the main arena, me winning a major event.
So about your best moment, your worst moment, funniest or most surprising moment?
I wouldn't say it was funny, but it was, for me as a young man then, and playing someone who you totally held in awe. I wouldn't say it was funny, but it was the weirdest feeling I've ever had. I played Alex Higgins in the qualifiers for the Crucible. The first year he had to qualify, and he had just won the Irish Benson Hedges Masters against Stephen Hendry. He came back from 8-4 to 8-5 behind to win 9-8, and then I'd played 4 matches, and then I had to play him. And I can still remember it now. We're 6 each. I've taken 5 reds, 5 blacks, and I'm on the half butt, the pot of red in the corner pocket, and I just heard this fella saying, Darren, can you just stop a minute, stop. And he got up, and I thought, what's going on here? And the referee then, the late Vic Bartlam, was refereeing, and he looked, and he said, just hang on a minute, I won't be a minute. So he left me hanging there, and he went. He was gone for 5 or 10 minutes, thinking, what? And then suddenly, and he was when he'd fallen out of the window, so he was hopping as well. He busted his leg. And then when he turned up, he had this cup and saucer, cup of tea, and he's hopping into the arena, and he's gone, thank you, you can carry on now. So I've just looked at the referee. Referees looked at me. We looked at the crowd, and it was packed, and there was 800 sitting in watching this match. And I burst out laughing. I had to go to my seat and went and thought, well, that was a surreal moment. I got down. I forgot I was on the maximum. Anyway, knocked the red in. I went on to clear up then and have a 1-4-3, which became the highest. That's how long ago it is. The highest ever recorded break in a World Championship.
All right.
Which was the qualifier, which was a 1-4-3, which I had. And it was funny. In the same match, but at the start, when they introduced us, obviously I was in awe of Alex Higgins. But when they done the big introduction and the 1972 and the 1982 World Champion, but the way they introduced him in, and then Alex Higgins will play, Darren Morgan, and we all sort of walked out, and the crowd went mad for him. And then I had hair then, not now like I got now. I had proper hair then, and I had this impression that my hair had just gone boink and stuck up like static, and I was walking like the Marshmallow Man. I couldn't feel my legs. I was that nervous walking out. So I suppose that was funny at the start of that, and then it was surreal what happened in the match. And at the end of the match, when I eventually won, I won 10-7 or 10-8, and I went to shake his hand. I thought, oh my God, what's he going to be like when I shake his hand now? Because he's conceded the match and that. Thought, is he going to be all right, or is he going to all kick off? And as it happened, he was sound as a pound. You know, we had a little chat after it and everything. He said some lovely things about me after. So it was nice to play one of the all-time greats while he was still playing at the top of his game and to get a win over him.
What about best advice you've ever received in snooker?
Treat it, as it means everything, but play like it means nothing.
Okay.
And it's a stupid statement, really, because it means everything for you. But if you put too much on it, you're never gonna play. So it means everything to you. But when you play, you've got to try and play as if it means nothing to you. A lot of players forget the game is supposed to be enjoyed.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't enjoy what you're doing, then you shouldn't be doing it. If you enjoy something, you're going to play well. So, and I had someone as well, which unfortunately passed away this year, and he said something that's very, very true to me. He said, all sportsmen are a bit nuts, really. And what he was saying to me was, it was Terry Griffiths who told me, and he was in snooker. He said, no matter how well you play, you'll want to play better. No matter how much money you make, you'll want to make more. He said it's just the nature of the beast. But he said you just got to sit back and think, hang on now, don't lose the enjoyment, you know, through the ride, because that's what it is, you're on a ride, really. And he was right, because your biggest paycheck might be £10,000 and you earn 20, but you lost in the final was for 40. You're not thinking about you just had a £10,000 bigger check than the last one. You're thinking about the 20 you lost. And then you, in the rankings, you go up to 17 from 31, and you keep thinking, oh, I should have been in the top 16. Not that you've just gone up from 31 to 17. So you always, and that's the truest saying, I think, ever. You do it in practice. Your record might be 400s on the trot. You hit 500s on the trot, and then you have 95 and you miss a pink off the spot. You're not going, you've just beaten your record, you go 5 and you're on about the pink you've just missed for the 6. So it's a tricky one, but I think any advice I'd give to anybody would be that. It's got to mean everything to you, but somehow you've got to find a way to play as if it means nothing to you. When I retired from the professional game, I believe that was me finished. By buying the club, it kept me involved around the snooker, and I took a year off, and then it was the boys in here were saying that, you know, can you show me this shot? Can you show me that shot? So I did that, and then it was, well, why don't we got a team on a Wednesday night? Why don't you play for the team in the Rumney Valley League? So I didn't really want to do that, but I said, well, okay, it is my club, I really should be participating. And so I played that, and then it was, well, you're over 40 now, why aren't you playing in these senior events? Is low. So I started playing the Welsh over 40s. They were called Masters then, not seniors. I started playing them, started winning them, and then all of a sudden it opened a few doors that you could go to European Championships and World Championships. So the EBSA were the Europeans and the IBSF were the World Champs. And I went there, and lo and behold, I started winning them as well. And I sort of dominated, I suppose, for, I don't know, I'd like to say over the last 15 to 20 years I've dominated. Obviously it's getting very, very hard now, because a lot of players now coming to 40, I'm coming to 60. So they're still spring chickens, top of their game, like I was when I first come in.
Well, you say that though. What about these couple of 147s recently?
Well,
then? What's that all about?
Yeah, you know, it's weird. Look, when I started and I played these, did I think for 1 minute I was going to win something like 28 European titles and 11 or 12 world titles? Never in my wildest dreams. Did I ever think I was going to hit a 147 in a match? No. That was one of the things that, you know, should have been on my tick list as a professional when I was in my prime. And obviously I did 100 plus in practice playing people, but every time I got in a match, some reason I got the green, I used to mess it up on the green all the time. So at 56 2 years ago, I hit my first one down in Ammanford. Where that came from, I'll never know, but nevertheless, I'll take it. And
it sounds crazy after the career you've had and played in, world champ semi-finals. But were you nervous when it got down to the final few balls?
I was, but I'd probably done myself a favour in the fact that on the blue I was perfect, and then I under-hit the blue to the pink. And I played a terrible shot then from pink to black.
Yeah.
And I was really high on the black, and I just didn't even think about it. I just got down and played the black.
Yeah.
I had to play it with loads of run inside.
Right.
And it just went into the middle. It was one of them. I didn't think about it and didn't hesitate.
Pure
I just,
instinct. That's the
just
way to go.
played the shot and it went in. So this one then was a little bit different because obviously as each year goes by, I'm playing a lot less snooker. So to go away then 2 weeks ago now, ironically, and then my second match, 147 at 58.
Unbelievable.
Which was great, and it was in the final of the Welsh senior event 3, and obviously it was on a proper tournament table as well. So
was it one of those where they say, like when you're watching it on the telly, they say, "Oh, the balls were all there"? I couldn't really miss, to be honest. So
not really. It was quite funny because they actually said to me at the start, "Would you like us to stream the final?"
Yeah.
And I said, I'd probably rather you not. And they said, "Well, why is that?" And I said, "Well, I don't really want people seeing a bald, fat, old fella now missing balls all over the shop." Yeah. And then, how ironic is that? I broke off. He played a safety shot. He left me a red into the yellow pocket, and I was going to play for the blue.
Yeah.
And then I looked, should I play for the black? And I went, no, I'll play for the blue. And then when I was down on the shot, I went, no, play for the black.
No way.
And I played for the black, and then I had the 147. And there was a few times where there was only 1 or 2 reds that I've had to go into the pack and dunch a couple out. And it just all went for me until the end. And at the end, I nearly messed it up again. I was perfect on the yellow. I was perfect on the green. Yeah. Played a terrible shot to the brown. Played a terrible shot, really. Blue was off his spot to the blue. Played a terrible shot, really, blue to pink, and that was off his spot. And then I played an unbelievable pink, which put me back perfect on the black. So, but if someone had said to me, obviously, in my twilight years, that suddenly I was going to get to tick another box off, because that was when I'm obviously. You all set yourselves when you play, or if anybody got anything about them, you set yourself realistic goals that can be achieved, and one of them was to hit a competitive 147, which I had never achieved, and I thought that had passed me by. As it happens now I got 2 to my name. So the only 2 really big ambitions that I never got was to be world #1 in the professional game and to win the world professional. And I finished number 8 in the world ranking. So I was 7 spots off. And I got the semi-finals of the world championship. So technically I was 1 match away. So I've won everything else I wanted: the Welsh amateur, Welsh professional, world amateur. And like I said, since I come back as an amateur, I've won numerous world titles, whether they be World Men's 6 Reds or World Masters Championships, and the same with the Europeans. So my record with the Europeans, I think I'm probably most proudest because I've done that over the Masters and the men's. So I've won European senior, men's championships with all the youngsters, and I've also won European Masters with we call them politely the old farts, the over 40s.